The ABBA half Björn Ulvaeus and Agnetha F. Koch have been acknowledged as one of the all-time most beautiful, talented, and famous performing couples. Of all time, they have performed the respective roles of a beautiful singer and talented songwriter and multi-instrumentalist to bring the band into limelight. Over and over, countless fans and listeners all over the world have been blown away and jealous over their relationship, and people still write stories about the love that they shared, desiring a love like that. This is why it was an unfortunate and shocking surprise for everyone when they filed for divorce and decided to end their relationship. We are left to contemplate the end of one of the greatest bands of all time. Years later, Björn Ulvaeus explained how their relationship came to an end and why he asked for a divorce from Agnia in the oddest and perhaps most painful way possible, which takes us to the story behind one of ABBA's most legendary singles, The Winner Takes It All, in the summer of 1979. Ulvaeus and Anderson began writing The Winner Takes It All in a cottage on Vigo Island. According to Anderson, the song idea originated from old ideas from small musical snippets they had. At this time, Bjorn had begun to drift away from Agnia and was searching for a way to give words to his feelings. Music was the only way Bjorn knew to express his feelings. The demo was originally called The Story of My Life because Bjorn put all of the pain and conflicting feelings he was struggling with in the song. The first arrangement for the song was up-tempo with a driving rhythm, but they thought their original attempt was too stiff and metrical. They put the tune to bed for several days to focus on writing the other ideas. 4 days later, they went back to write the song. Anderson suggested a French chansonnier approach for an arrangement with a descending piano line and more expressive style. This would help give the song more of the open-hearted feeling that Bjorn was trying to express. He recorded a tape of gibberish French phrases to use as lyrics and took it home to work on the lyrics for the song. He said he drank whiskey while writing, and it was the shortest lyric he had ever written. He said he was almost always drunk during the writing process, and all the main lyrics of the song came to him in a rush of emotion in 1 hour. The divorce was going to go forward, and despite both him and Agnetha mutually agreeing that the divorce was the best thing for both of them, it was deeply affecting them both. After the writing was complete and he finally handed Agnetha the piece of paper with the song he had written to look over, she began to cry because of the song had so much effect on her. Everyone knew that song was about the divorce Bjorn actually denied. The song was about it at first. He said the song is based on the experience of a divorce but was actually fiction, because in his separation from Agnetha, while there may not have been a specific winner or loser, plenty of people still believe it is based on fact. Because of the pain in Agnetha's voice when she finally sang it on stage. Bjorn also said that the sadness of their breakup gave him inspiration for it. And while the lyrics could not have been taken literally, they still had an unmatched significance to the both of them, since their split was messy with both winning and losing at the same time. But the main question is what really led Bjorn to make Agnetha sing. Such a painful song, divorce is already difficult enough. But then you have to sing the lyrics about your ex-husband kissing another girl that he wrote himself. And that is an added layer of difficulty. The reason for this, however, was the very complicated and emotionally painful relationship Bjorn had with Agnetha, and cracks in the relationship had been showing for a while. Before the time of the ultimate showdown, the beginning of their marriage had detrimental signs. Even if on the outside everything looked perfect, Agnetha and Bjorn were both so focused on their careers that little else mattered to the both of them. Even their kids and relationship at the start of marriage, the two were consuming in each other. They got marred young because their enthusiasm for music, which only created emotions for each other. They had only transient little faults like Agnetha's desire for status and Bjorn's pursuit of control, ambiented kind of like minor things they could tolerate and live with. But as their relationship progressed, they learned that was not the case, which began the beginning of the end. Bjorn described Agnetha as incredibly jealous and terrified for him, and always worrying about that something was going to happen to her or her family. She was worried he would cheat, or a fan would start stalking them and take everything they loved away, or a plane would go down while they were on tour and their kids would become orphans. She always had a worried look, especially when the band had become famous, and she was always on edge from worrying so much on top of the sleep. Did not alleviate her stress either. She had begun to have night terrors where she would suffer the unimaginable when it came to her family. This had left her mentally disturbed. Her worrying had placed a mental weight on her that she feared would drive Bjorn away with her. Becoming clingier than ever before behavior that ended up being the opposite of what she wanted. Soon, Agnetha's behavior was causing Bjorn to be more disturbed than he could cope with, and he started becoming cold and increasingly controlling, as we read between the lines in the adage of, "The winner takes it all." It could also be he began to look to find love and fulfillment outside of his marriage, since he could no longer get what he needed out of the relationship. And his behavior made Agnetha incredibly angry and jealous, and therefore she was losing his feelings for him, realizing that maybe they weren't meant to be together anyway. The last straw was when ABBA's appeal to the public also starting to decline as a result of how their music was affected with both their compromised personal relationships, and Bjorn felt it was time to move on. Then Agnetha agreed, even though deep down they were both sentimental, thinking about how good their time together was and how close they had once been. It seemed that at least for Bjorn the decision was correct, because after the divorce things did not improve for Agnetha. And then she found fame very difficult to cope with, and then the pressure from being divorced and a single mother started to take its toll on her mental and physical health. She was now bouncing from one relationship to another. Her lovers included an ice hockey player, a fashion designer, and evidently her psychologist, while she was working on saving her marriage with Bjorn Hakan Labach. This was not the first time she had gotten involved with someone who was a professional colleague. She was having an affair with Stockholm detective Thorbjorn Brander, who had been trying to help her with her kidnapping threats and hate mail. He was a family friend who ended up getting her kicked out of Sweden. Then she married and divorced surgeon Thomas Sonnenfeld. On and on it goes. All of this had happened because she was lost and based on another person, which she desperately thought would let her forget the pain. Oh, and also she had witnessed her mother commit suicide and then, a year later, lost her dad. She was more and more deteriorated in her mental capacity and was alone at this time, refusing to ask for help or even talk to anyone about what was going on. She suffered silently, not having any true friend or partner to ride through this rough time with her, fear of the world and suspicion of those around her at an all-time high. Bjorn was far more relaxed and found it much easier to move on. He went on working professionally with another ABBA member, Benny Andersson, writing, singing, and composing many songs. He also had fortune in his love life, moving on to love Lena Kershaw, with whom he had a marriage lasting 41 years. He appeared to be in much better physical and mental shape than Agnetha, and perhaps would not have been able to move on as he did if he remained married to her. Divorce is painful, and no matter how many ways you slice it, there is no magic pill for your emotional heartache, and there will always be one person who suffers more. Bjorn may have said throughout his divorce from Agnetha, he declared there were no winners or losers. However, it seems clear who benefited from the divorce and who did not. Now one is partnered up with a companion, while the other continues to wrestle with mental health problems and keep a brave face while carrying on being reclusive and forlorn. Who do you think won it all in this relationship's ABA pairs relationship? Let us know in the comments below.